nice to see you all in the morning. Okay. Now, before I move on to the session, let's start with an activity because, every time, of course, next 45 minutes, you have to listen my stories. So let us start with an activity because today's session is about social interaction. So we have to do an activity. Ready? All of you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So that's what I asked you to, switch on your video. So it's easy to do the activity.
Okay.
Come on, fast. Shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First thing is, those who are wearing watch, show to me. Nobody? Very
Ma'am,
good.
we
How
are at
many?
home actually.
That's okay, no problem. That's what I'm asking. Those who are wearing watch. Only one. Okay, those who are wearing specs. How many? Two? Very good. Those who are wearing t-shirts. Very good. Now, those who are having 5 fingers. Okay, now those who are having one nose. All of us? Okay, now those who are having ponytail. How many? Okay, now those who are having gray hair. Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you. It's a very simple ice-breaking activity. But let us understand the relevance of that activity. Whatever the activity right now we did. Could anyone tell me about this relevance? Why have you done this activity?
To say we are all human.
Very good. Then?
To see the connection between each other.
Very good. Then?
To start an interaction.
Okay. Next?
Maybe to find things that we have in common with other people, and that's generally how interactions start.
Yes. Even though we are different, there are certain things we have common, right? Right?
Yeah.
So this itself is a social interaction. And many times we know our child, is different, but still we expect them to do certain skills, which is, which gives a lot of stress, anxiety for the child. Somewhere we forgot to know that even they also have certain commonality, right?
True.
So whenever we'll talk about commonalities, how do you feel?
Accepted.
Accepted. But whenever you have that different, like, no, only I have this, then how do you feel?
Alone.
Fish out of water.
Yes. So today's session, I'll be focusing on how do we accept ourselves. Okay, because as a human, we are a social animal. Even though there are many things, though we are different, there are many skills we have common. So let us begin the session.
Yes.
Okay, I need, it's more about interactive session. Please, you can off your videos. And if you want anywhere, you can stop me. I'm going to start my presentation. It's going to be a slide presentation. Whenever you have any doubt, please stop me there only. Okay, shall we start?
Yes, ma'am, you can start.
Can you all see my slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay. While making this presentation, I just gone through one thought from the parent. Just let me go through this. I'm not asking for my child to be the life of the party or a social butterfly. I just want her to be happy and have some friends of her own. She's a wonderful kid, and I hope someday other can see that. This really, maybe every parent will wish for this. They should learn this. They should have this kind of expectation. They have to do a set of activities. But somewhere we forgot that even they can do all the skill, but there is a limitation. Accordingly, we have to set the skill. Then only child can do their best. So let me move on to the next slide. We all have certain concerns. I made this concern into 3 categories about their skills. It could be, one is perception, because perception skills are how do we perceive. And second thing is how do we interpret. And third is how do we respond. This is a common concern like every parent will have. Let me list out that. Maybe if anyone of you have any particular concern, you also can tell me, because I need more about interactive session, because otherwise it's going to be a one way. I don't want to do that. So what are the common concerns as a parent you all have? Could anyone? Please be open.
Ma'am, is it about, you're asking about social interaction?
Yeah, social concerns. What is the complaint about your child or all those things? Social concerns.
Yeah, for me, like I've tried Ashwin, like to make him mingle with other kids and have some, like just like that other parent said, this first slide you said, and but it's been so effortful for him and for me that I kind of tend to give up. So I feel it's a very complex situation in his mind. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he does not mingle with the kid. Okay, next.
Yeah.
And mine is otherwise. She's very social.
Okay.
She interacts with everyone, even with the strangers, very easily.
Okay.
So it's a worrisome for me sometimes.
Yeah, this is a strange. Sometimes this is also very important. Anybody else?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you, madam.
Yeah. Ma'am, the concerns will be usually with the learning in the sense the academic part and all.
Okay. So do you think the learning is academic part is a social interaction?
No, that expressive language and development and all. No?
All those things. Okay, very good. So any other concerns?
Difficulty in breaking the routine.
Okay, routine breaking. Okay. That is also one of the concerns.
Unless we put the things very clearly, immediately he won't respond. That is one of the concerns. And the second one is like the insensitive for others' need. Whatever maybe the routine should go.
Okay.
They won't bother about others' need, and they're kind of always, due to the functioning level, emotional immaturity. So we can't expect the child how we are reacting to the situation.
Okay.
Very common.
So, yeah.
And at times, even the social stories are very helpful. That's it.
I am about the solution. Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for.
Mala. I am a psychologist working for Spastic Society of Karnataka.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. And thank you for part of this program.
Thank you.
So, I have made 3 categories about our concerns. Okay, one is doesn't understand facial expression or body language. That is a major concern in the perception category. And he's a poor listener. He loses the point with what is being said. And third could be has a little interest in social interaction, but not noticing rejection action by others. This is because this is more about in the category of perception, because we are able to see that, we are able to perceive it. When it comes to interpretation, there are certain set of concerns. He's overly literal and doesn't get sarcasm. He'll never understand what is happening. He speaks exactly like a bookish language. And if I crack any joke, he will not understand these kind of things, and doesn't know how properly greet people and request information. Always he want to gain attention. He want to come and interrupt whenever I am talking. And he has a difficulty in perspective thinking. He don't know what he has to do. Suddenly he does the things. And it comes to the response part. Just now one madam told me that, he's over socialized. Many times when parents also think about that, shares information in an appropriate way. He wanted to share the information, but he will not share in a good manner, a socially acceptable manner. He comes and interrupt, always. He's unable to sit at one place. If you want to tell something, he'll always move around. He always talk about irrelevant things, the things which is not required to the social context. It doesn't adapt to the language, whatever we are, maybe the situation and other things. So these are all general concerns of the parents or the professional. It depending on their age and the child and the parenting and the environment. There are, based on these criteria, we can make this category and we can call it as a social deficit. So next, let us understand what is social skill or the social interaction. It's a set of skills that allow us to communicate and relate and socialize with others. And it involves the verbal and the non-verbal skills both. And in a different way, we will communicate. We never expect that the social interaction means it's only a verbal way. There could be a different way of non-verbal skills also. Social skills are a set of verbal and non-verbal. You have to use both the skills and how do you interact with others. This is about social skill. And whenever we are talking about social interaction, there's a very important component that is the emotional component. So without emotional component, you cannot start the social component. If you take a developmental milestone of the child also, you can see the first is a motor milestone. Then in the motor milestone, we'll see the gross motor and the fine motor milestone. Then we'll think about language milestone, the expressive and the receptive. Then we'll think about cognitive milestone. Then social and emotional milestone. Then adaptive skills, like this. So whenever we are talking about social interaction, the emotional component is very important. So how do we feel about somebody else? How do we perceive somebody else? And what kind of expression, what kind of response we'll get it from somebody else? So based on this, I have made certain very important points. How this emotional relationship will impact on the social skill. Whenever we are talking about emotional development, one is your experience. So what kind of experience you had earlier? Maybe, for example, if I go and greet someone, many times they may not respond. My experience was very bad. Second is what kind of expression I'm going to do with others. And third is management of emotions. How I am managing my emotions. And third is, it is, if I show some kind of emotions, what kind of reward I'm getting it. And third is, why it is important is, it will build the interpersonal and intrapersonal relationship. The interpersonal means, of course, it's for me, of course, and it's for others. Let's not call it as an interpersonal and the intrapersonal relationship. So what are social interaction skills? It is just a learned behavior. And whenever I'll show certain set of learned behaviors, I'll get a positive response. Then my behavior will be, repeatedly, it will repeat. Social interaction skills are building blocks of successful social relationships. Without social interaction, you cannot maintain a social relationship. The purpose of social skill is to facilitate positive interaction with the peers. It's very important whenever we are talking about social interaction, the positive relationship. And whenever we are talking about positive and the negative interaction, the negative interaction whenever we'll introduce, or if any child will introduce, that time the reaction will be very bad. We are sure that next time it won't happen. So always the social skill help to facilitate positive interaction with the peers. Whenever we are talking about social skill, there are three important components which is involved. One is feeling. How do you feel? And second is doing. Based on your feeling, your action is, reflecting. And after that, it is a thinking. It is like, a circle. If you have any difficulty in all these three, the child will have a social deficit or social difficulty. So it is thinking, feeling, or doing. Any way you can take it. So children with difficulty, maybe they have a difficulty in the feeling. There are few children, they don't know how to feel. They don't know how, they will not understand the social context. So if the child is having difficulty in that, the action, the doing is going to affect. Of course, whenever the child is having difficulty in actions, they cannot think. Otherwise, if they not think, they cannot feel it. If they can't feel, they cannot do it. These are the three things which is the integral part of social skills. Why social skills are necessary? To form and maintain a positive relationship with others, and adjust well in the environment. These skills may be acquired through gradual learning, how do we learn, and largely influenced by the family members, teachers, friends in the community. So whenever, as I told in the beginning, human beings, we all are social animals. So all the actions are mainly influenced by our parents, and next the family members, then the teachers, friends, and the community. Why social skills are very important? Appropriate social behaviors are necessary for any person to be an acceptable member of the society. Of course, we are all human beings. Our behaviors, certain behaviors has to be accepted by the society. We don't know whether it's a good or bad. We are not in the position to judge that, but certain behaviors have to be accepted by the society. The community has certain regulation. Accordingly, we have to behave. That's why it is very important. And well-developed social skills can help the children with difficulty to acquire a strong, positive peer relationship. So whenever the child is having a very strong, if you want to improve a social skill, we should have a very strong, positive peer relationship. Already I have discussed, what are the social skill deficits, but let us understand from the theoretical perspective. It is very important. Don't think that I am talking about theory, but whenever we are talking about social interaction, these skills are very important. One is, as I told in the beginning, social skill is nothing but to interact, to use the verbal and non-verbal skills with others. So in that, the first thing is non-verbal communication. And second thing is a social interaction deficit. And third thing is reciprocity and terminating interaction. And fourth is social cognition, behavior associated perspective taking and self-awareness, social anxiety and social withdrawal. So these are all certain social skill deficit. Under that, what are the skills which will come? Let us understand. First, let us understand the concern part, because if I know the problem correctly, then only I can talk about the solutions. So let us understand one by one. What are the non-verbal communication deficit? Under non-verbal communication deficit, recognizes the facial expression. Child may have a difficulty in recognizing facial expression and maintain the eye contact during the conversation as a facial expression that are congruent with the emotions. Recognize the meaning behind the tone of another person. So it's more about non-verbal communications are more about the gestures and how do we talk. It's a voice, the interaction, the language, all those things. Facial expression or voice modulation, all those things. And second thing is social initiation. It is more about the communication part. It's more about the language part. The child may have a difficulty in join in activities with others, initiate peers to join into activities, join a conversation, ask questions to request information about the persons. Like this, we have social initiation. And next we'll come to reciprocity and terminating interactions. Take turns during a game. These are all certain social deficit skills we may see in our day-to-day life. Even if it comes to social cognition, compromise during disagreement with others, respond promptly in the conversations. These are all little high-order thinking, high-order social skills. Whenever a child will start the conversation, we can understand that. So parents and family members and the teachers need to provide a guidance and exposure for children with difficulty to practice a social skill. Because whenever you want to introduce a social skill, parent role is very important. This will enhance their social participation, interaction, and that will make child to well-adjusted individual of the society. The parents are the role models for the children, and parents need to practice the appropriate social behavior at home for the children. Always in all my presentation, I'll tell you, like the parent and the child relationship is like a mirror. We will see our reflection only. It is not like something different. We may say that, my child is having some difficulty. They are different. They have so many conditions, but I'll never agree that even they have a cognition. They may have they may be delayed in showing everything, but they have ability to learn anything if you teach. So that's what the parents are the real model for the children. Certain guidelines I have put it, because whenever we are talking about social interaction, we have to understand the solution part. It's always important. So always we'll discuss and we'll go around the bush like I have my child is suffering from so and so. Let us understand certain solution part. So whenever you want to make a solution part, let us understand there is certain models to understand the solutions. One is assess the social functioning. I think if you go back to my previous slide, I have mentioned the certain concerns about the child. So based on that, we have to understand social functioning. Currently, what is the social functioning of the child? And distinguish between the skill acquisition and the performance deficit. I'll explain this slide in the next coming up slides. And select the intervention strategies. How do we going to teach the child? The strategies to promote the skill acquisition and strategies that enhance the performance acquisition. And implement the intervention plan and evaluate, monitor the progress. It doesn't mean that if you have a therapist, then only you can do all those things. It doesn't mean that if you are professional, then only you can evaluate and you can monitor. Always the parent are the first teachers. We all know that. As a parent, I'll just give you a simple tips. How do you monitor and how do you evaluate social skills? I have mentioned one more important point here, the skill acquisition and performance difficulty. Many times what happens, my child doesn't know certain activity and I expect them to do the performance. And sometimes this also could be happen, like the child know the skill but doesn't know how to perform. One is the person doesn't possess the skill and cannot successfully perform the skill, and sometimes person has the skill but doesn't know how to perform the skill. For this, we have something called as a prerequisite. Any activity if you want to introduce, as a parent or as a professional, we know the prerequisite skills. Prerequisite skills are nothing but it's like a preparation skill. For example, I know how to hold the ball. It's very easy to teach how to throw the ball. The prerequisition is holding the ball. So when many times what happens, somewhere as a parent or professional, we are difficult to understand whether it's a skill deficit or whether it's a performance deficit. So first we have to understand the functional skill assessments. What are the skill child knows? Based on that, I'll ask the child to perform. After that, if the child is knowing the skills, then it's very much easy to teach the performing. How do we execute that? Whenever we are talking about social skills, there are certain very, very important techniques usually we'll use as a professional, and any parent can also practice this. One is modeling skill, and second thing is cueing, and third is a prompting skill, and fourth is it's a parallel talk, and fifth, behavior rehearsal, feedback, reinforcement techniques, and interpersonal problem solving skills, social perceptual skills, and training. This is all, as a psychologist, always we will think about the behavior perspective, because whenever you will see a change in the behavior will impact, many times the change in the behavior will impact highly with the children. So always, we will take all the techniques through behavior therapy aspects. So first thing is modeling. So what do you mean by modeling? People will tell modeling is nothing but imitation. Of course, the modeling is imitation skills. We will model something or we'll copy something, those who are performing. In the modeling skills, I think one of the famous psychologists has given this concept. His name is Albert Bandura. The modeling skills are evergreen skills. Every day we will practice at home. Whenever we'll ask a child to imitate, that itself is a modeling skill. The imitation is one of the first part of social skill interaction. In the imitation skills, first we'll call something called as in the modeling, first we'll call it as a live modeling. In the live modeling, what happens? For example, I am doing exercise like, okay, raise my hand. Even I expect the child to do that because I am the model and I'm showing child to the modeling. And I'm telling the child to imitate the same skills. And second, the next level of modeling is the verbal modeling. I'll just tell the child to just do the certain activities. Just please raise your hand. This is a verbal modeling. And third is symbolic. I'll just tell the child to do the actions. How do we raise our hand? There is no, it's more about symbolic. Maybe I'll show some pictures. Yeah, this is, raising the hand. Child will do it. So in the modeling, whenever we'll introduce a social skill or an interaction, these are the certain simple technique we have to understand. Many times what happens, somewhere we don't know how to teach the child, suddenly we'll start with symbolic. I'll bring the picture and I'll show to the child. The child never got exposure with the picture and they will never perform it. And the child, end of the day, child will feel like, no, I am not able to perform this skill. And it's like, always the parent will be depressed. No, I don't know how to teach the skills. I don't know why he is not learning the skills. So whenever you want to introduce any skill, the prerequisite skills are very important. And the steps, what you are going to follow to teach the new skill is very important. So whenever in the social skill training, the modeling skills are very important. One is the live modeling, and second is the verbal modeling, and third is the symbolic modeling. And next we'll go on to the very important techniques that is called as a cueing. In the cueing, what happens? Again, we have a certain steps which is involved in the cueing. Cue is nothing but you are just giving a hint to the child. Okay, how to do this? In that, we have something called as a verbal indirect cue. The student here, you will give the oral information to the child. What do you think you need to do next? For example, so this is you are just giving a hint to the child. In this, like you have two things. One is a verbal indirect cue and verbal direct cue. For example, whenever you want to ask a child to keep or arrange certain things, you will tell, arrange all the red blocks. No need to give every time this instruction. Somewhere you are just giving the cue. And sometimes in the indirect cue, what happens? If the child will keep one puzzle, the next thing will be, okay, what is going to come next? Because you're not telling the color, which color the child has to do it, but indirectly you are showing it and you will expect them to do it. And third thing is the visual cue. In the visual cue, what happens? You will show certain pictures or you will give certain directions. And next, it is pointing. What happens in the pointing? You will just point out to a certain object or a picture. You'll ask them to do it. And next is the physical gestures. This is the way the child will try to understand the non-verbal communication. So directly, if you introduce the gesture, child will not understand. That's what, whenever you are introducing the social skill, these techniques are very much important. And next is very important skill, that is gestures. Okay, in the gesture, always the first thing is verbal direction. You will tell everything in a step-by-step. It is not like you will give an entire story and you will tell, no, this is the thing you have to do it. In the verbal prompting, the chaining is one of the major aspects. You will divide the skill into step-by-step. For example, if you want to make the child to wear a pant, or if you want to go and greet somebody else, you have certain steps which is involved in that. So first thing is verbal direction. And second is the gesture assist. And third is you will show certain, which is called as a visual graphics. You will show certain pictures. And next is the modeling comes. Because whenever the modeling is there, it's more about the prompting. Whenever you want to prompt the child, that is also modeling is very important. In that, if you want to introduce any prompting skills, be with the child and show to them, and then you ask them to do it. In the prompting also, it could be first the verbal prompting, of course, and second will be, you will just say, maybe it's a symbolic prompting, and third is just you will fade it off. You will show that now if you show something, child is able to do it. This is how the activity has to be introduced. And this is a very important skill, which is for the parents to teach a social skill. It is called as what is the whole body listening skill. There is something called as observational skills. In that, whole body listening skills are very, very important. It is listening with the eyes. Whenever you are telling that listening with the eyes, have you tried this? Listening with the eyes? Look at the speakers. So this is the simple technique. In the home also you can practice it. So whenever you want to build a social interaction, this is a very simple, even we may forget to do all those things. Look at the person's eyes whenever you are talking. So whenever we want to maintain eye contact, always make sure that it is an eye level talking, right? You have to sit according to their eye level and you have to talk. Otherwise, child will be 3 feet and you will be 5 feet. And if you want to interact social skills, or if you want to introduce any skills, child will not respond to you. So that's why eye level interaction is very, very important for the kids. And with the benefit of eye level interaction is, we always tell, always the major complaint of the parent is, child is not responding to me, child is not looking at my eyes. So if you not interact the child with eye level contact or eye level interaction, the child never respond and child never maintain eye contact. So always make sure that listening with the eyes means whenever you want to introduce the introduce or you want to start a conversation, sit next to the child and start the conversation. This is the first thing which is called as a whole body listening skills. And second thing is listening with the mouth. So whenever you are listening somebody's voice or somebody is talking, what is your behavior? Close your mouth and quiet. You have to demonstrate the child as like, I'm just listening to them. If you are talking means, I'm just listening to you. I have closed my mouth and like I'm listening to your voice. And listening with the body means facing the speaker. Many times what's happened, as a mother, I'll be in the kitchen and I'll call, so-and-so, Rohan, please come. So-and-so, please come. And the child is least bothered. Because whenever you want to introduce this facial social interaction, please facing towards the speaker and look at them. And listening with the hand means whenever you are making the social interaction, first, and initially for the kids, don't use lot of hand movements or any other things. Quietly at the side of the body or in the lap. Always keep your hands or everything will be calmly, because if you have so many movements or actions, child attention will go to into your movements only, not exactly what you want to convey that. As listening with the feet, whenever you are standing and talking, is a very simple technique. Keep your calm. Always better whenever you want to start a social interaction, sit and start the interaction. Or you are moving around, or you are doing some activity and you want to introduce a social interaction, the child never gives the attention. And listening with the brain, thinking about the speakers, what he's saying. This is a pretty high and a little complicated cognitive skills, but still you can achieve this. And listening with the heart. So whenever you are talking, the facial expression, always I told, in the beginning slides, I told that facial expressions are very, very important whenever you want to have a social skill or whenever you want to introduce a social skill. Facial expression means how do you express your feeling? Oh my God, somebody got hurt. Exactly, you have to show your feeling to the child. Then only, no, somebody is getting hurt. In your face itself there is no emotions. Then you cannot connect to the child. So this is very important technique. Everybody usually in my clinical practice also, this is how I will train the parents. Before training the children, first we will train the parents so that they will be aware of many skills. And there is no wrong in teaching it. So please understand very simple techniques. Based on that, you can teach the children. Usually in my practice, there are certain things to teach the emotions and all. I make emotional cards, the basic emotional cards like happy, angry, because that is the first basic emotional cards I'll use as a part of social skill. Sometimes, if child is able to understand social skills, that time I'll just start, voice modulations. How do you see the yelling? Hey, come here, what are you doing? These kind of things. Or, whenever you are very calm, how do you call? Come here, sit here, these kind of interactions. Or if the child is, child ability is more higher level, that time we'll go and do the activity called whispering. These kind of things we'll practice at home. And if you want to teach the non-verbal activities, we'll use certain cards, emotions cards, and how are you feeling? It's a group sessions with the child, and these are the simple activity we'll introduce in the sessions. And otherwise, cartoon pictures are the very important things. Emotional cards usually that express many things, because usually many children are cartoon lovers. So if you say and if you show certain cartoons or the pictures, the child will learn very easily. These are all certain activities we'll use it. And whenever you want to introduce any skill, certain rules will follow. Smile, look at the person, nod the head, showing the listening. These are all a certain skills. Whenever as child grows, we will introduce it. And there is a very important thing, which is video modeling. I have told it is the live modeling. Video modeling intervention involves watching a video demonstration and imitating the behavior of the model. This is a very effective model for the children, video modeling. It incorporates the visual learning, because if the child is a visual learner, the child will learn very fast, increases the attention, decrease the anxiety. The child will feel more comfortable whenever you will introduce a video modeling. It is not like you will show the video and you will just keep quiet. No, please, you also have to take a part of in the video. A great examples of non-verbal body language. In the video modeling, you will see there are many things like the child is using non-verbal gestures. And example of which are the area you feel like child is unable to do it. That area to teach, you can introduce the video modeling technique. This is very important, that how to teach various social skills. So whenever you want to teach interaction, introduce the social skills or social interaction, identify the social skill to be taught very importantly, and explain the importance of the social skills. It doesn't mean that you have to go and tell each and every relevance to the parent, child, but try to understand why I'm teaching this skill and what is the need of the child. Skill to thought. If the child is, still 4 years and you expect that the child has to go and do something else. So always, whenever you are teaching the social interaction, try to take up a very basic skills. Don't take the complex things. Model the skills, provide the example, allow the guide, and please give them a time to practice the skills. Then only they can able to provide, do a better things. Whenever you want to introduce the social skills, make sure that you have to start early. For example, you have a baby at 3 or 4 months. That time we will introduce that how to smile, teaching smile, response, familiar people, all those things. So social skills should be taught systematically. It is not like whatever you want to come, you have to teach. Already I have mentioned in my previous slide. Please select what are the things you have to teach according to the age wise. Don't think about the physical age of the child. Always think about the functional age of the child, or it is very, very important. Based on the functional age of the child, you have to introduce the social skills. Sometimes you want to express even, very simple, thing that expressing feelings. Mother is training the child to clap hands whenever you are feeling happy. It's not like you have to train everything and you have to teach the skills. Just whenever you want to teach the skills, just categorize it. There are n number of activity you are doing at home, but you don't know which are the skills, how to prioritize that. Please prioritize the skills and accordingly you can teach it. Treat your child with the respect and insist that other family member also do the same. This is very important, children with difficulties. If your child is treated with the respect, he will show very good, interaction, interest, and he will also try to respect for others, which is essential for building a social relationship. Parents need to develop a strong social network and try to expose the child as many people as possible. If you are not interacting with anybody else, or if you are not a social, or if you don't want to build a social network, don't expect that your child has to do that. The more people your child meets, it is more likely that he will learn interaction skills and child will overcome from the difficulties. Provide opportunities for child to practice the learned social skills like greeting. These are all the basic social skills: greeting, asking for the help, sharing, turn-taking or group activity, smiling when the meeting of friends, and paying attention to the person who is speaking and asking the children to play home. Parents need to encourage the effort of the child and praise instead of pointing at the mistake done by the child. Please accept it is our child and never point there. As a psychologist, I always believe it is just a corrective feedback you have to go instead of negative feedback. We'll never believe on the negative feedback. If you started giving negative feedback, the child never grow and never learn. Always try to give a corrective feedback. Of course, the praising is a positive feedback, and always try to give a corrective feedback. Then your child will learn in a better way. Obey commands. This is one of the social skills. Always give a simple and specific instruction to the child, and telling the child to call someone to play with a toy or bring something which is like. And many parents usually, whenever in my practice, I'll tell to the parents, don't buy any toys because your home is the best, play area. You can involve them. If you introduce a natural environment to the child will learn in a better way. That's how the social interaction will start. Because whenever you start the interaction with the toy, it has got a limitation. The toy will be in a particular shape or particular size or particular color. You will stop the conversation then and there. But whenever you will introduce the child into your natural setup, then you have many things to discuss. See, for example, father is appreciating the child for obeying the commands. I am happy that you ask you, like these kind of conversation you have to interact with the child. Parents need to train the child to wait. For waiting time is a very important, and turn taking. Maybe you can take them to park or another child. One child is already playing, and that time you have to child necessarily that this is a waiting time. Please wait for a while, then we'll go it. This is how you can teach the child the waiting time and other things. Show the child like this is how you can show. Look at that another child is playing. You just wait for your turn, then your turn. The one day child will cry or show cranky or other things. But the next day, for sure, child will follow this kind of simple interaction. Maybe you can take them to shopping mall and you can make them to stand in the queue. Just show that how to wait in the queue, and immediately praise them and give a positive response to the child. Then only this behavior will be repeat again. Making friends, provide an opportunity for the child play wherever several children are present. Many times as a parent, I'll be very hesitant to send my child to the out because I'm very scary that I know if something will happen, I don't know how do they accept. Please leave all those things. Of course, they're all human beings. They have to accept. If I accept my child, of course, one other day, other people also will accept the same way. So always try to send them in a group and let them interact with the other kid. Parents need to encourage the child with difficulty to talk about his friends. Let them start a conversation. Occasionally, let the child take an extra chocolate or biscuit. It's more about reinforcement technique, not always. Many times you can do that. Do not force a child to play with the children who they were not interested. Please don't do that. Don't pressurize a child to go and play with those who are not interested. So these are all certain, teaching child how to interact with friends. Many times, as a parents, we are a part of group. So let us introduce the activity in that way. So this is the way, like I have given some example, introducing oneself. Hello, my name is so-and-so. What is your name? Shall we play? This kind of small interaction you can do. And always these skills, whenever you are introducing, be as a monitor. Don't involve them, but be as a monitor. You know that the child has certain set of difficulties. There are all certain skills which is, I am asking. I have just put it across. Asking question, initiating the conversation. And another very important thing, which is behave appropriately with the opposite gender. As a child grows, it is important to train him behave appropriately with the opposite gender. Train him or her for a proper behavior in the home with the brother and sister, or as a father and the mother. Instead of keeping away from the opposite gender, please try to involve them and expose him to such situation under supervision that he develop the acceptable manner. Explain the child and demonstrate the physical distance is maintained whenever we are interacting. That is a basic, skills we are teaching to the child. Very important skill, which is observation skills. Being able to accurately try to observe the skills. It could be sound, it could be signals, it could be many things. And that's what I told. Whenever you are teaching in the natural setting, you can teach all those things. You may feel like it's irrelevant, but that is going to be a very good observational skill. Draw the child's attention to the particular object, person, activity when he is appeared to be inattentive. Look at the tree. What color leaves are there? How many leaves are there? These kind of small, can you hear the bird sound? Can you hear animal sound? These are all certain observation skills which will make child more attentive and they will start observing it. Encourage the child to respond to the environment. Do you like the flower? Which flower do you like the best? This kind of, if possible, ask many questions. That's how the child will interact and child will come to the level of social interaction. Encourage the hobbies is very important. Try to understand what is child like most. Based on that, you can encourage it. Drawing, painting, craft, all those things. Teaching appropriate behavior in a social situations. Until and unless you will not take the child out, or until and unless you will not take the child out in the social real situations, child will not learn anything. So for that, it's very important is social stories. Social stories presents a social concept that has certain rules and regulations in a brief way. Written, you no need to write always. Maybe you can start with the picturization. Then you can talk about, stories. Why should you use social storytelling? Social stories can help people understand they should behave. This is the complete social story, how it looks like. Sometimes it could be picture-wise, sometimes it could be verbal-wise. Social stories can be prepared by parents and teachers with the pictures along with the descriptions. The story should be in the simple and short and understandable language. Parents can ask the child to read the story related particular skills. The parent can read out the story for the child. This is the what example I have exactly given about the social stories. And this is very important because social stories will, child will understand many of the judgmental skills, problem solving skills, all those things. So better always introduce the social stories before you are taking them to, situations. So make sure that you have to take the children to show the real time. Don't show always like modeling video things. Always take the child to out and show the real time situation. See, this is the picture. One child is hitting other child. What is the response of your child is going to do that? So because these kind of things, whenever you are introduced, this is a concept called as a cause and effect relationship. This is how child will understand the cause and effect relationship. So this is the parent helping the child buy ice cream from a parlor. So whenever you will introduce the real-time situation, child will learn easily. Parent need to involve the child in a group conversation. If the child is sick, quietly ask his opinion and encourage him to say something. Maybe if you are taking the child to the hotel, you just ask the child, what do you want to eat? It doesn't mean that, always you have to ask the questions. Parents need to encourage the child to participate in family festival. Make sure that the child is an integral part of your family. You have to involve each and every activity. Thank you so much.